Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Definition. In this episode we're breaking down the new horror movie, The Turning. The film has a big ending that probably left you scratching your head, and throughout this video we'll be giving our interpretation of it. I haven't seen anyone else drop this theory yet, so hopefully if you've watched other videos on the topic, then this helps to paint the movie in a new light. Obviously there will be heavy spoilers here, so if you haven't had a chance to watch the film yet and don't want anything ruined, then I highly recommend that you turn off now. It's one of those movies that you should watch with fresh eyes, so yeah, this is your last chance to turn off. If you're still here, I just want to give a huge thank you for clicking this video. Now let's get into our breakdown of The Turning. Okay, so The Turning is actually based loosely on the novel The Turn of the Screw by author Henry James. Weirdly enough, this is actually the first adaptation on the work that is due to be released this year, and Haunting of Hill House producer Mike Flannagan is currently working on a similar property at the moment. That is The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is reportedly due to be released at the end of 2020 exclusively on Netflix. Similar to this movie, that series is reportedly going to be taking elements of the book and adapting them into its own story. As for the book itself, it centers around Miles, Flora, and their guardian. Ghosts haunt them, Miles actually dies at the end, and there are some massive subversions to what we see play out on screen. Both the book and this film are set in Bly Manor, but The Turning of the Screw explicitly states that the ghosts are real, whereas here, it is possible that it could go either way. For this video though, I'm just going to be giving my theory rather than diving between the two possible scenarios. I think there's a lot of evidence to back up my analysis, but obviously I'm open to you having a completely different opinion. As mentioned earlier, I haven't seen anyone cover this angle in their breakdown yet, and hopefully this gives you something new to think about if you've already watched another one of probably a much better YouTuber than I am. Anyway, before we get into the interpretation though, we need to lay out the events of the story. I'm going to be doing them in chronological order, and then we'll dive back in to reanalyze them in order to show why certain things happened the way that they did. The film itself predominantly focuses on Miles and Flora, two rich, thoroughbred orphans. When they were young, their parents died in a horrendous accident, and this may or may not have been caused by the groundskeeper Quint. That's never said in the film, it's just sort of what I picked up on, and yeah, I think it's there in the subtext. Flora witnessed their deaths, and this has moulded her into a shy young girl that is afraid to leave the property. In the wake of their death, Quint began to lord over the manor, walking around like he owned the place, treating Miles like his son, and even sleeping in the master bedroom. This was much to the dismay of Miss Gross, who had been a member of the manor staff for the majority of her life. In order to raise the children correctly, she reached out to a tutor named Ms. Jessel, who became a sort of live-in nanny on the grounds. Quint became attracted to her, and after he sexually assaulted her, she tried to escape the property. However, he managed to catch her before she could get away, and the character murdered her and dumped her body in a pool around the house. This is what we open the movie on, and it pretty much sets the scene for everything. Gross killed Quint and made it look like an accident, and then she reached out to another nanny, which is where we join Kate in 1994. Kate was left by her father at a young age, and her mother slowly went insane and now lives in a sanitarium. Kate sees a lot of her own story in that of Flora's and desperately wants to help her. After arriving at the manor, Miles returns home due to being expelled from boarding school, and slowly he begins to annoy Kate, making her life harder and harder. It becomes clear that Quint rubbed off on him, and there are hints that he is controlling the young boy from beyond the grave. Kate discovers Ms. Jessel's diary and begins seeing ghostly apparitions of her and Quint about the house. Slowly, this sends her insane, and she becomes paranoid, distrustful, and fearful of the property. After being haunted for days upon end, Kate receives a parcel from her mother that is filled with what are essentially just charcoal scribblings. She slowly begins to unearth exactly what's gone on, and after a run-in with more ghosts, she discovers what happened to Ms. Jessel. She confronts Ms. Gross about it and realizes that she knew about what Quint did and that she killed him and made it look like an accident. The ghost of Quint returns to kill Gross, and though the spectre chases Kate and the orphans through the house, they are able to escape. However, this is shown to be just a fantasy that is triggered by one of her mother's drawings, and slowly Kate descends into insanity. She begins accusing Miles and Flora of lying about not seeing ghosts, and then in the final few moments spins off into her own fantasy of being at the hospital with her mother. We see her mother is scribbling away on the floor, and she turns around to face Kate, who then screams, and we cut to black. We never see what Kate saw, but this reveal was enough to horrify her. It was also enough to horrify audiences into realising they just wasted money and 90 minutes of their life that they won't be getting back. But anyway, scrap all that. What the hell is going on? Well, personally, I believe the entire movie is a fantasy, bar a few key moments. I know some people think some elements of it are real and some are not, but overall, I think that the majority of the film takes place in Kate's head and is basically a reimagining of something tragic that happened to her. Now, I believe that Kate is actually also Ms. Jessel. I know you're shaking your head right now and about to hit that dislike button, but don't just yet, let me explain. There's a key signifier towards this that happens throughout the film, which I'll get into in just a bit, but yeah, there's a lot of evidence for it. Personally, I think that Ms. Jessel, or Kate as I'll call her, worked at Bly Manor and helped to raise both Flora and Miles. However, Quint, the groundskeeper, obsessed over her, and one night when she tried to escape, he sexually assaulted her. I can't say the R word because of YouTube monetization, but you know what I mean. Anyway, this completely broke Kate, and she fled the manor, abandoning the children there. Ms. Gross covered this up and looked the other way, much in the same way that she often did with Miles's behaviour, and thus no justice came to Quint. Ms. Gross at one point in the film says stop telling tales, and this shows that she might not have believed Kate. Due to her regret over leaving the children and the trauma that she faced, Kate slowly went insane. I believe that after this, Kate was taken to an asylum where she lived out the rest of her days, scribbling away and painting seemingly nonsensical pieces of artwork. The movie is Kate in her head, living out the life that she should have had, the path that she should have taken, in which she saved the children, watched Ms. Gross die, and escaped with them from the clutches of Quint. But what evidence is there to support this? Well, when we are first introduced to Kate's mother, she hands the character a beautiful painting of her, and I believe this is the face that she believes she now has. There's also the fact that pretty much every time Kate sees Ms. Jessel in the movie, it is through a reflective surface. She first notices the character when slamming a window, and in the reflection of the glass she catches a glimpse of her. She later sees a pool of water which once more has a reflective surface, and Jessel appears in a mirror when Kate is washing her face. Kate cannot see this, and it's not like the ghosts know the cameras are there, so the fact that Jessel is appearing without Kate even seeing her shows that this could be buried within her subconscious. If it was a fantasy, then most things would have to be perfect, and thus Quint would be dead. However, due to her subconscious, he keeps creeping in at several points, and Miles, in my opinion, is actually a manifestation of Quint in several ways. Miles wears the same clothes as Quint, and one of the times that she first notices the ghost is when he's walking into Miles's bedroom. When she is playing the flashlight game, she follows Miles downstairs, and then he slowly transforms into Quint and terrorizes her. Not only does Miles torment Kate throughout the movie, but he also rides a black horse, which we saw Quint doing in a photograph. Quint also died by falling off his horse, and the scene where Kate chases Miles could be similar to the death scene that Gross apparently carried out. Miles also forces himself on Kate at one point and kisses her unprompted. To me, this is a symbolism of the sexual assault that Quint carried out on Jessel, and once more it adds to the similarities of the character. In Miles's room there's also a painting with lots of hands grabbing someone, and this happens later in the film when Kate believes she is being attacked by the ghostly hands of Quint. Could this be one of Kate's paintings from the real world seeping into the fantasy? Well, personally, I believe that it is. Quint apparently remarks on Kate's tattoo, and this also has significance. The tattoo is of Ouroboros, a snake that eats itself. It shows that Kate's insanity is slowly sending her spiraling into more madness. There's lots of evidence throughout the film, but it all points to one thing. This is Kate's fantasy. The ending symbolizes this, and it's clear it's all in her head. So, to reiterate, Kate went through something traumatic at the manor and painted out her perfect life in which she went to the manor, watched the woman who covered up a sexual assault die in front of her, and saved the children that she abandoned. She sees this in the painting of the car and then is snapped out of it and is quickly reminded by Gross that she is completely mad. It is possible that Gross could be a nurse at the hospital or a psychiatrist that is trying to guide her out of the fantasy. This would explain why Gross opens Kate's letter before she gives it to her, and yeah, it's just a fan theory that I've come up with after thinking on the movie for a while. At the end of the film, Kate goes down to see Miles and Flora and breaks Flora's doll before claiming that she can fix it. Miles says, "You can't fix it, it's broken," and this comment is dissecting Kate's mental state, showing that no matter what, she will never get over it. She then returns to reality where she is back at the hospital, watching herself scribble away, and when the mother, or rather Kate, turns round, she sees her own face, and this is why she screams. And that's pretty much how I took the movie, and what I think is really going on. Again, if you disagree with me and think that it's the ghosts, or that she was insane, or that she wasn't Jessel, yeah, make sure you drop your theories below. The film is a big talking point, and every theory differs massively from the last, so yeah, let me know what you thought was going on. As for the movie itself, I have to say, I did feel massively disappointed by it. Though it started off pretty strong, and I had high hopes for it due to the source material, I can't help but feel let down. The pacing was all off, and too many sequences seemed to be inconsequential looking back, to the point that it made the plot feel really hollow. I feel like the fan theories that have come from this film are far more interesting than the film itself, and though it has sparked a lot of conversation, it doesn't really feel like it deserves it. The ending has only really had so much spring from it because it's just so ambiguous, and rather than feeling complete, it feels, well, underdeveloped. January was turning, pun intended, into a pretty good month with 1917, Bad Boys for Life, and The Gentleman, but this feels like a dud, and I can't really recommend it because of that. I feel like I had to make the movie better in my head in order for it to be good, and that's a big disappointment, especially from what I was expecting this to turn out like. Overall, The Turning let me down, and that's why it gets a 3 out of 10. Now obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on The Turning and what you thought of the ending. Comment below and let me know, and if you enjoyed this video then please give it a thumbs up, and make sure you check out our breakdown of this weekend's other big horror release, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. We go over everything you need to know about part 3 of the show, so it's definitely worth checking out if you want to know more. If you want to support the channel from as little as 99 cents a month, then please click the join button below. We massively appreciate it, and it goes a long way to making videos like this. You get access to content early and can also suggest video topics and breakdowns. If you want to come chat to us after the show, either follow us at DefinitionYT or click the Discord link in the description below. Also just want to let you know we're giving away a free copy of Dr. Sleep to one random subscriber. All you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video and leave your thoughts on The Turning in the comments section below. The winner is going to be chosen at random on the 15th of February, and the set will be shipped out from then to whoever gets the prize, so best of luck to everyone who takes part. This is a channel for people who are mad into movies, so if that's the kind of thing you like, hit subscribe. Huge thank you for taking the time to watch this. I've been Definition, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.